Now on LWT, we look back at today's British Grand Prix.
Silverstone on Easter Sunday. Thankfully, the weather very much improved, the heavy early morning fog clearing in good time for the start of the British Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome to our review of this afternoon's race. British Grand Prix 2000 will be remembered for all the wrong reasons. A fair amount of chaos around the circuit, the fans actually being told to stay away for yesterday's qualifying session. So the session taking place in front of near empty grandstands, but we saw a gripping hour with grip being very much at a premium. With the wet circuit drying by the minute, it soon becomes clear the later you hit the track, the better your chances of pole. Mika Häkkinen's the first to duck under the 1 minute 30s with his teammate David Coulthard right behind. Pole position then changes hands 12 times as the track dries out and the times tumble. Jenson Button puts in a storming lap that would net him 6 on the grid, while others find the going much harder. With 5 minutes left of the session, Michael Schumacher is still making alterations to his Ferrari, while Irvine and Frentzen have their few seconds of glory.
Where does Frentzen go? He goes fastest on a 25.7.
Schumacher's on a flyer, but loses time in the middle of a lap and fails to make it past the checkered flag in time to start a final effort. So Rubens Barrichello nicks pole from under his teammate's nose by 0.003 of a second, giving Ferrari their first Silverstone pole in 10 years. So Rubens Barrichello on pole for the third time in his career, with Heinz-Harald Frentzen delighted to be on the front row as well. Häkkinen and Coulthard third and fourth. Rainmaster Michael Schumacher starting right behind the McLarens alongside the young apprentice Jenson Button. Ralf Schumacher seventh ahead of Verstappen in the improved Arrows, Eddie Irvine in the Jaguar and Villeneuve's BAR ninth and 10th. It's Trulli and Fisichella on row 6, followed by Diniz, Johnny Herbert in the second Jaguar, then Alesi and Ricardo Zonta 15th and 16th. Heidfeld 17th with Salo, De La Rosa and Wurz all failing to take advantage of the changing conditions. The Minardis, Genet and Mazzacani make up the 22. It's the British Grand Prix then, with your commentators Martin Brundle and Murray Walker.
And now they peel off to the right, those who are occupying the right-hand side of the track. It's a staggered formation as ever.
Go! Barrichello leads away well. Frentzen second and Schumacher sprinting up alongside the two McLarens. But Jenson Button is right behind him. And so it is Barrichello, it is Frentzen, it is the two McLarens. Yes, but Murray, Michael got squeezed out. Häkkinen put the squeeze on Michael Schumacher. He actually then dropped back some places. I think Coulthard's the leader of the two McLarens in third and fourth. But as you can clearly see, Barrichello and Frentzen away beautifully. Michael had the best of the start, but then had to yield. That makes a change.
Yes, so Michael Schumacher is in 6th position, and Barrichello, of course, has got a dry track, a clear track in front of him. The two Minardis are still last, of course, and thankfully, as they go down into club, they're all away.
And Ralf Schumacher just outbraked his brother. Michael tried to move into Stowe, which would be a touch of deja vu from last year, decided to back off, and now Ralf, his brother, outbraked him into Vale, and he slipped yet another place. Look at the pair of them in the background there, and Ralf maintains that position. A disastrous first lap.
Ralph running a little bit wide there. Disastrous first lap for Michael Schumacher, but he's coming back at his brother. Barrichello leads into Priory.
And now into Brooklands. You can see there's quite a gap developing now between the first 5 cars and that gaggle of cars for 6th position as Rubens Barrichello leads out at the end of lap 1. It's Barrichello, Frentzen, Coulthard, Hakkinen, and then
Jenson Button is 5th, Murray, followed by Villeneuve, and then Michael Schumacher has dropped behind his brother in 8th place. So Ralph up to 7th, Verstappen 9th, and Jarno Trulli tops out the top 10.
So Michael Schumacher down in 8th position, and already Jenson Button, who is in that leading 5, has gained 1 place at the expense of Michael Schumacher. He started alongside his hero, could hardly believe his eyes when he saw that it was happening yesterday, and now he is ahead of him. Down they come, and there is Button, and there's a battle developing behind Jenson Button.
Yes, that was Ralph making a move on Villeneuve. I don't know whether he got through. Yes, he did. Ralph Schumacher takes Villeneuve into Stowe, so he moves up into that 6th place.
So already the race is starting to develop into a pattern. 5 up at the front, then there's more, and right down to Mazzacane, who was running last week with Frentzen now, and that is Rubens Barrichello's Ferrari ahead of us, and it's out of Abbey, now up to Bridge, the 150-mile-an-hour right-hander. Barrichello, Frentzen, Priory, the left-hander, and the gap between the 2 of them at the end of that previous lap was just 0.4 of a second. Barrichello, Frentzen, Coulthard, Hakkinen, Button, Villeneuve. So Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR is in 6th position ahead of Ralph Schumacher and Michael Schumacher, the 2 brothers. Now, can Michael do anything about the Williams BMW? Because Michael Schumacher is in a much more powerful motor car, but his brother is very determined indeed, and he can't. Villeneuve is ahead of the Ferrari.
Yes, Ralph Schumacher, the fastest lap of the race there by over half a second. So Ralph's got a bit of clear air. He will very quickly be up behind Jenson Button in 5th place. The 2 Williams absolutely flying in the warm-up this morning, looking very, very well balanced in these dry conditions. Hakkinen appears to be struggling a little bit in the early stages, and now Coulthard slipping back from Frentzen too.
I am amazed that Michael Schumacher is down where he is. He must have some sort of a problem. This is not tactics, it's not strategy.
Now, Michael has just got the bad end of the stick on every move he's tried so far. Flew off the line, got pushed out by Hakkinen, then tried to take Villeneuve, lost out again. On the rebound, Ralph took him, and, well, it's just all gone wrong for Michael Schumacher down there in 8th place.
1.7 seconds covers the first 4. Jenson Button is 0.7 of a second behind them, with Ralph Schumacher the fastest on the track. And the Williams BMWs, the 2 cars there, have surprised us a lot this season. They're continuing to do so here at Silverstone. The brand new BMW engine is doing an absolutely fantastic job, and both of them are in the top 6. Jenson Button 5th. Ralph Schumacher is in 6th position, and it looks to me visually as though Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari there, as he bursts out of Woodcote, has increased his lead slightly over Heinz Harald Frentzen, who's...
Ralph Schumacher fastest man again. So here's the start look, and watch the second red car look of Michael Schumacher. They touched twice. That's why Schumacher had to get out of the throttle. Hakkinen and Schumacher touched twice. Hakkinen stayed on the gas. Michael had to yield, and then that cost him some time.
Here it is again. Look at there's Schumacher. Hakkinen moves across on him. They touched. I'm just wondering whether it's deranged Schumacher's Ferrari suspension.
So Michael tucked up behind Villeneuve at the moment. Doesn't appear to be able to do anything about it at all. There they are. And look, Verstappen hanging on to Michael Schumacher in the Arrows.
Yeah, the Arrows is going extremely well here. Last year, Tom Walkinshaw's team, Arrows, concentrated on developing this year's car. They hadn't got a big enough budget. Michael Schumacher having a look at Villeneuve, tearing off a strip from his visor. But Jos Verstappen holding on in this new car that's been developed by the Arrows team at Leafield. And this year it's got a Super Tech engine, and it's a very, very quick motor car. Jos Verstappen has been out of Grand Prix racing last year. He's back with a bang.
It's so unusual to see Michael losing out in those first lap battles. We normally expect him to be the one making the moves, but just didn't pay off for him today. And now Ralph's pretty much got in the slipstream of Jensen, and he's lost a little bit of his momentum and inertia. They're all now lapping between 1:29.3 and 1:29.6, that whole leading gaggle, which is why they're so close together.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens with Ralf Schumacher and Jenson Button. They are teammates. The one thing you mustn't do with your teammate is to collide with him. You shouldn't collide with anybody, but certainly not with your teammate. But Ralf Schumacher was not at all happy that for the second time in 4 races this year, Jenson Button out-qualified him here at Silverstone, and Button is ahead of him now, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen has just made the fastest lap of the race, as you see, 1 minute 29.18, and that compares with last year, 1:28.3 by Mika Häkkinen. So Frentzen is starting to close on Rubens Barrichello. Ralf Schumacher is 1.1 seconds behind Jenson Button, who's just made the fastest lap of the race. So the young Jenson Button is on the move. He's only 0.4 of a second now behind Mika Häkkinen.
Yes, and the Ferrari team will be now recalculating what to do with Michael Schumacher. This could not have been in their game plan at all, and they're going to wonder how they can at some point widen the window of those stops and find him a bit of clear air so he can close down that 11-second gap he's got to the leaders. James, what can you tell us?
Well, I think he's in big trouble, to be honest, Martin. It's going to be very, very difficult. I also think he did take a knock in that Häkkinen incident. I'm in the Ferrari garage, and I said to them, they looked like they very nearly touched, didn't they? And then one of the Ferrari guys looked at me and said, listen, they did touch. So I think maybe he's carrying something on that car, not quite sure. But either way, we're looking at a long first stint here for sure. The target lap time for a normal two-stop is about 1:28.7, and they're a little bit off that. So I think they're carrying a bit more fuel than a standard divided into 3 race. So you're looking for a first stop sometime around 23 to 26 is my guess.
Now, Michael Schumacher is the first man who is doing badly in comparison with what we would have expected down in 8th position. Jos Verstappen is driving a great race for Arrows in 9th position, but now they are right up with each other. Frentzen is with Barrichello, Coulthard is with Frentzen, Häkkinen is with Coulthard, Jenson Button is not so very far behind Mika Häkkinen. So it is Ferrari leading, Jordan 2nd, McLaren's 3rd and 4th, Williams 5th and 6th, with Button and Schumacher both in the points on lap 18 out of lap 60. Now watch Heinz-Harald Frentzen, watch his fingers. He changes gears by just squeezing paddles underneath the left and right side of the steering wheel, which you don't need me to tell you is not a normal one. It's not round, it's got buttons all over it, because a lot of the control functions these days operated by the driver are done through the steering wheel, and the steering wheel itself can cost a minimum of £20,000 with all the electronic stuff that is on it.
That's Verstappen, isn't it? Verstappen
Yes.
in 9th place, dropping back, was in 9th place, now down amongst the Minardis, which means he must be 18th or 19th. So Verstappen, after a fine run, now out of the race, unfortunately.
And Heinz-Harald Frentzen speeds up again with his fastest lap of the afternoon. But it's very static at the front, although it's very close, with only 3.2 seconds covering the first 5. Look at them. There is Frentzen, Coulthard, Häkkinen, and Jenson Button in 5th. I keep on marvelling about Jenson Button, but he's driving a great race.
It's absolutely amazing how he can just stay up there with this pace with so little experience. James, what can you tell us?
Here's one for you, Martin. There's a board going out just in a moment for Mika Häkkinen the next time he comes through, and it says mixture 3. P4, laps 21, mixture 3. I wonder whether they're trying to plot something here. Get him to run the thing a little bit lean, perhaps save a little fuel. Are they some sort of cunning fuel strategy, do you think?
I don't think it's particularly cunning fuel strategy. They obviously want to stretch out. Maybe he's got enough fuel on board that'll do a two-stopper just about sensibly, or with a little bit of effort, stretch to make a sensible one. And I think the team started the race with that kind of idea. Mika Häkkinen slipping back slightly from Coulthard now, and not a great deal. But we're watching a game of chess here. We saw a bit of tag wrestling off the start line when Michael Schumacher got double shuffled out of the way, but right now we're simply watching some chess. It's going to shake out when they come in for their pit stops, and obviously the teams are just fine-tuning what they've got to do to try to maximise, because there's nothing between the drivers or the cars, and Villeneuve getting a bit out of shape there, some kind of smoke coming out of the back of the car. Whether it was the car bottoming out, I don't know. We'll have a look in a minute, but Villeneuve having a good scrap with Michael Schumacher. They're now 22 seconds off the pace.
There's Johnny Herbert, 12th. Pedro Diniz, 13th. Behind Pedro Diniz, Heidfeld. Into the pits comes Jean Alesi from 15th position. De La Rosa is in the pits. Marc Genet is in the pits. There's De La Rosa coming in. And the rest through.
Presumably it's vitamin C they put in that orange arrows, is it?
Yeah. Lap 24. Lap 24, Rubens Barrichello leads by 0.6 of a second from Heinz-Harald Frentzen as the Minardi of Marc Genet burns rubber out of the pit lane. He can really hit it there because there's no way he's going to get to 70 miles an hour plus before that white line. And he's coming out. Now, this is going to be pretty significant as Heinz-Harald Frentzen in second position. Now, well down because Coulthard's gone through. Häkkinen's gone through. Now, what is Frentzen's time going to be? This is going to be a crucial thing. And this is on lap 25.
Williams in the pits too. Ralf Schumacher is in the pits. This is looking strong for McLaren. Ralf Schumacher having to pit too. And a problem with the right rear for Ralf Schumacher's pit stop. And he's away now, but that cost an awful lot of time. Fortunately for him, the players behind him, which was Jacques Villeneuve, was some 13 seconds adrift. So I don't think it'll cost Ralf a position, but it sure hasn't helped.
There's Jenson Button, the fourth car there. And look at the gap between him and
I think he's
Häkkinen.
pitting, Murray. The information is
Yes.
Button is pitting this time. There's the white speed limit line on the pit lane. But Jenson must be careful not to overspeed. I can see him coming past the commentary box now. Yes.
The fuel flap open. I don't know if James is down there. If you are, interrupt me, James. No, he's not. So, Jenson Button in now. Frentzen's time took 7.2 seconds. And remember, every second gives you 4 laps of fuel. Jenson sitting quite calmly there. Now he's taken on a lot of fuel there. Does that mean to say that, well, he may be doing a very strange strategy?
He was a little bit slow away after the refueler came out, but I think with Ralf Schumacher's apparent hit, did Ralf pass him there or not?
Yeah,
I saw a
think it
white
was
car
Ralf
go past.
going through.
Was it Ralf? So hopefully Jenson hasn't lost position there. We'll have to wait until we catch them going down Hanger Straight or something. But this is the battle for the lead now. Coulthard having Frentzen gone in the pits. Coulthard got some clear air and look, immediately just zapped straight up to the back of Barrichello. And if you ever need proof that the aerodynamics of these cars are affecting their overtaking performance, I think there it is. It's clear to see.
Well, this is Rubens Barrichello's 115th Grand Prix.
Ralph's in front. Sorry to interrupt, Murray, but Ralf did get through. So whatever that problem is on the right rear wheel cost him nothing. Jenson a little bit slow away, I think, after they lifted the lollipop. That gave him that 10.3 second stop, and it slotted him in behind his teammate. That's a pity.
Well, it's all experience for Jenson Button, and he is still very much in the points in 5th position. As into the pits comes Eddie Irvine from 11th position and is passed by his teammate, Jaguar Johnny Herbert, who goes up into 11th place.
Yeah, it's a sad weekend again, really, for the performance of the Jaguar team. Really, quite a long way, about a second a lap off the pace. So they're going to go away from here very disappointed, even if there's an alarming fallout of cars ahead of them and they scratch a point. Their performance will be bothering them, and a lot.
Now, let's recap. You're looking at the first 3. Obviously, none of them have stopped yet. Barrichello, Coulthard and Häkkinen, Ferrari, McLaren. There were 6 together. Of those 6, Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Jordan, who was second, has stopped. Jenson Button, who was 5th, has stopped. Ralf Schumacher, who was 6th, has stopped. So we're going to see shortly whether the different strategies that these 2 lots of 3 drivers are running is going to make a difference. And look at the speed there. Michael Schumacher is now up into 5th position as a result of those stops. but he has yet to come in. Jacques Villeneuve is in 4th place, but he has yet to come in. Of the ones who have stopped, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is still in the points. He's 6th position, ahead of Ralf Schumacher, 7th, who's passed Jenson Button after their pit stops. Button is in 8th position. Jarno Trulli is 9th. Ricardo Zonta has just made the fastest lap of the race, the Brazilian in the BAR. He's in 10th position.
Yes, can't explain the Zonta lap. Johnny Herbert makes his first stop. It's really either they're going to stretch a very long second stint here, or he's on a 2-stopper. Either which way, it seems to be somewhere about in the middle. But you saw a quick shot back there of Michael Schumacher with his head down, but he's still only, he can't get any closer than half a second to Jacques Villeneuve. They're currently running 4th and 5th because of the pit stops.
And we are on the half distance, lap 30 out of 60 now, with nothing in it between the leading Ferrari and the 2 McLarens. We're with the 2nd McLaren now, 2nd place McLaren of David Coulthard, last year's winner, of course, and David Coulthard driving his best, his brilliant best, his 7th equal in the World Championship at the present moment, just a point, 2 points behind his teammate Mika Häkkinen. And Mika Häkkinen, of course, is 24 points behind Michael Schumacher, who is in the points now. He's in 5th position, ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen. But, as I always say, it's a bit of a false dawn, because Michael Schumacher has not stopped. Frentzen has, Ralf Schumacher has, Jenson Button has, and as Martin has explained, the pit stops that are coming up are going to be absolutely crucial. It's going to be very, very close indeed.
Yes, all 3 of them did a 28, 1 minute 28.1. We'll wait a few seconds. Villeneuve and Schumacher still a little bit slower than that, although they're currently running 4th and 5th. Then I'm really keen to see Frentzen, Ralf Schumacher and Jenson Button's lap times as they come over the line. They're not together, I'll remind you, but they are still very much racing. This is the game of chess I was telling you about. 28-1 for Michael this time around. Frentzen 28-3.
And that's within a tenth, the same as
yes, 28-1, 28-3. So they're all lapping at the same.
Yeah, they're lapping.
Look, Coulthard has passed the Ferrari. Yeah. Coulthard has passed Barrichello. He takes the lead of this race. Haven't seen it on the TV, but maybe Barrichello made a mistake somewhere. We're going to have a replay shortly. Stay tuned. We're going to see that very, very shortly. But David Coulthard, for the 2nd consecutive year, leads the British Grand Prix.
Now, does that mean that Barrichello's got a problem? Because Coulthard, as he did before, is streaking away. Here is the replay now. Let's look what happens. Barrichello leading.
It's in the snow. Look, Coulthard's going to go down the outside. Coulthard takes a brave run right down the outside. Barrichello defends his line, then has to reduce his speed some, and Coulthard just saying, I'm coming through. Now's the moment.
And as a result of that, Barrichello loses momentum and Mika Häkkinen closes up on him. That's a replay. And so now David Coulthard again, as he's made the fastest lap of the race. He's broken clear of Barrichello, who seems to have been holding him up, therefore. And into the pits comes Mika Häkkinen from 3rd position. This is going to give David Coulthard the chance to extend his lead, because he will be making a terrific charge on this lap. Now, 11.3 seconds for Mika Häkkinen. Now, that's a second longer than Jenson Button took. James Allen.
Completely consistent with the 1-stopper. This is absolutely fascinating. And it was a critical move by Coulthard. If he hadn't got past Barrichello, he might have had the danger.
James, the Williams BMWs have gone through, and it looks to me as though Mika Häkkinen's lost track position.
And look at this, Coulthard's got a back marker on this lap. He does not need this. He must clear this Minardi at the earliest opportunity. Go for it, David, just nail him. You've got to get through. This lap is crucial, because you're going to end up, like your teammate, behind those 2 Williams if you're not careful. You need 2 or 3 more laps if you've got the fuel to pull out 3-4 seconds. Otherwise, the Williams are going to be leading this race.
Yeah, that was incredible. The 2 Williams of Ralf Schumacher and Jenson Button have gone ahead of Mika Häkkinen as a result of their different pit stop strategies. Now, as Martin says, there is Ralf Schumacher, there is Jenson Button, there is Mika Häkkinen, and the McLaren has lost 2 places on the track. Lap 33, 60-lap race.
Well, fortunately for Coulthard, he was still the fastest man on the track, despite having to go offline to pass the Minardi there. So didn't cost Coulthard too much time. He still needs another couple of laps of low 1:27s, and he may just come out in front. It's going to be touch and go.
But significantly, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is still there, and he's ahead of Ralf Schumacher and Jenson Button. So Frentzen is in 4th position now. Michael Schumacher moves up into 4th place behind Jacques Villeneuve, who is 3rd. David Coulthard leads the race. Rubens Barrichello is in 2nd place. We're in an absolutely magical time of the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And this is the man who's got to increase the gap between himself and Rubens Barrichello. And his pit mechanics are ready to bring him in. Up to Bridge, the right-hander, 150 miles an hour. David will, of course, know he's coming in on this lap. Rubens Barrichello will retake the lead. Or will he?
No, he won't. He will not. I think Coulthard is tussling. In my view, Coulthard is tussling with these two guys here in the Williams. And that's what he's up against. Got to be some kind of stunning stop, but he needs enough fuel to do the
Just a minute, drama. There, in comes David Coulthard, the leader, James.
This is going to have to be very, very good by McLaren, because he's got 25 seconds over Michael Schumacher. In other words, if he doesn't get back out on the track in front of Schumacher, he could have blown the race relative to Rubens Barrichello. It's going to be very, very tight, within a second or two possibly. Nice job by the McLaren boys.
10.2 seconds, exactly the same, within a tenth as Jenson Button. He accelerates out, and there goes Schumacher. Look, he's going to get ahead.
It's Frentzen is the key one, though. Frentzen's
and
the key
he's done
one.
it. Frenzen's done it as well. There comes David Coulthard, and Frentzen chops across the pit exit. And so David Coulthard, like Mika Häkkinen, has lost track position on his pit stop.
No, not quite, Murray. I don't see it that way. It's Frentzen who will, of course. That Barrichello, no, Barrichello's gone through in front of Frentzen. Sorry, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. So I thought that was Schumacher coming down the pit straight. It was Barrichello. So now Coulthard really has rejoined back in 3rd place. Now, and that's Barrichello. That's Barrichello spun. And Frentzen goes through. The lead is spun. Frentzen takes the lead. And surely Coulthard and Häkkinen, Coulthard and the two Williams have got a chance to come through there too. Where is the McLaren?
And he's on wet tyres, and he comes into the pit lane straight away. Rubens Barrichello comes in for his 2nd stop. The Ferrari mechanics are taken by surprise. Rubens Barrichello spun. Now, does he think he's damaged the bottom of the car, James?
I can't see any damage. They certainly weren't expecting him. This was unscheduled. The mechanics have just scrambled. And just to put this into context for you folks, what was happening here was Ferrari's entire strategy was based around Rubens Barrichello winning this race. He's not stalled it, the engine's still running. Now he's got a problem with the gear selection, and they're trying to just reach into the cockpit. He's blown it, guys. He had the race in his lap. Ross Brawn was at his disposal. Michael Schumacher was at his disposal to win this race for Ferrari, and he has blown it.
Well, let's wait and see. He may have had a technical problem that sent him off the racetrack. It is unusual to recover from a spin and then drive straight into the pit lane with apparently a healthy car, so he may well have had some kind of gear selection problem that pitched him off the road. So now Michael Schumacher is going to lead the race because he has not yet stopped. But the real leader is still Frentzen, followed by Coulthard. And the net gainers in all of this pit stop stuff was Ralf Schumacher leapfrogged Jenson Button, and Mika Häkkinen fell behind the pyramid. Here we go.
Here's the replay. Now he loses the back of it there. I think there's a mechanical problem, because I noticed that when Barrichello came in and he was talking to the mechanics, he was obviously very agitated, unlike him normally, as he goes through the very wet, soggy grass, and he seemed to be saying, "It wasn't my fault, fellas, something happened at the back." As Ricardo Zonta spins out of the race. He was in 11th place, and his BAR Honda race is finished.
And that's truly in for a stop from 7th place, his first stop of the afternoon. Now, I'm absolutely sure of one thing: Michael Schumacher has not got a big enough fuel tank to drive this entire Grand Prix distance.
And he comes into the pit lane, Michael Schumacher, and I'm watching for Heinz-Harald Frentzen. I can see Frentzen, he's coming through. James.
Thank you, Murray. He's going to come and pit stop. He's going to rejoin in around about 6th or possibly 7th place. He won't get in front of Häkkinen. He'll be in front of True in 7th place. A bad day for Michael Schumacher at the office, really. Maybe he'll get a point, who knows. But I think, guys, you want to keep an eye on Frentzen and the two Williamses, because I'm pretty sure they're going to have to stop again. I'm not sure they really are the factor here. I think this is McLaren's day.
I think Schumacher's still in the points, actually, because Jarno Trulli has not gone through yet, and I still don't see him, and I reckon that Michael Schumacher, yes, there's Trulli, so Michael Schumacher rejoins the race in the points. Now, he's on one World Championship point at the present moment, and his chief rival in the championship, Mika Häkkinen, we expect, is only in 5th position at the present moment, so there's only 1 point difference to Häkkinen's advantage if they stay where they are now.
Now the leading group are getting amongst the back markers. That's Jenson Button coming up to lap the Minardi, and Häkkinen really just been struggling all afternoon, hasn't he?
Yes, he
hanging on to the back of a pack.
Here
Yes.
it is, here's Frentzen's...
Truly stopped very late, so we know for sure, surely that must be for Frentzen, and here he comes. Frentzen does have to stop again.
So, David Coulthard goes through and takes the lead. And where is Ralf Schumacher? Ralf Schumacher goes through into 2nd position. Jenson Button goes through into 3rd position. Button on lap 43, having made his stop, is in a podium position for the first time as in his short Grand Prix career.
And look, Schumacher too. Michael Schumacher coming through. Frentzen is going to go from 1st to 6th. There's Ralf Schumacher, currently running 2nd. And really, that strategy of Jordan's has blown it for them today. That's turned out to be completely wrong. They weren't flexible enough. They weren't able to move it to a shorter first stint of a one-stopper like some of the teams have done, or indeed even start the race fully intending to do a long first stint, and that's cost Jordan extremely dearly. Häkkinen is coming through the back markers, but still behind Jenson Button in what will shake out to be 3rd place, a podium position. Once they pass the line again and all the computers shuffle around, Jenson Button in a current podium position.
Rubens, terrible disappointment for you. Tell us from the horse's mouth, what was the problem?
I started to have a problem, a hydraulic problem again, same as Brazil, and the engine was dying in the middle of the corner. So that's why Coulthard overtook me. And when I spun, I went into the corner, the engine died and picked up all of a sudden. So I had no clutch, I had nothing in there. So I just kept the throttle a little open, and you could see that I had no control. It's really frustrating because I think I would have done it today.
Lap 47, Jenson Button running 3rd, comes into the pit lane for his 2nd stop and accelerates out. Now it's conceivable that Michael Schumacher will have gone up into 4th position. He's gaining place after place. Mika Häkkinen has gone up into 3rd place. Now there is Button. Can we see Michael Schumacher on?
Well, that is a major surprise to me and a huge disappointment. I really thought it was clear to see, to read this race, that it was heading into a one-stopper to be at the sharp end when it matters. And I'm just amazed with the 13 laps to go that they brought Jenson Button in. He had to come in for another stop. What a disappointment. Irvine having stalled the engine on with a box full of neutrals, I'm not sure which. A box full of neutrals by the looks of it. So Eddie Irvine going no further. That's what Johnny... Oh, he's found one. There he goes. Will he find some more when it... But Ralph coming down the pit lane, so this is going to put the Williams way back. They obviously went for a long first stint and a very short middle stint to give themselves track position. And, well, quite clearly now, it's going to compromise them badly in the run-up to the end of the race.
And is Michael Schumacher going to get through and ahead of the Williams BMW before it leaves the pit lane? Well, on the left there, you see Ralf Schumacher. Coulthard, of course, has gone through. Mika Häkkinen has gone through. There is Schumacher, and that is Jenson Button behind him. So they've both come in and rejoined the track in exactly the same positions relative to each other. So it's a McLaren leading.
At Herbert, they will be pumping up the hydraulic system. Maybe you do get a leakage on that. That's the system that closes the valves in the engine, and clearly they had some kind of leakage. They had to come in. I think Frentzen's got a problem. Frentzen is going slowly.
You're right. Now let's look for Ralf Schumacher. because you're absolutely right, Martin. You can see from the positioning of the car and its speed on the track that he is much slower than he has been in the past. We'll see the two of them go across the line, I have no doubt. So he sounds all right as he accelerates away up the straight. Maybe he's missing a gear.
He's not changing gear at all. So just staying in the same gear, look, and he didn't change gear up the pit straight at all. Maybe he's lost hydraulic pressure too, and that also affects his throttle, which could explain why he slowed down so much.
And Martin, we've missed it, I'm afraid. Ralf Schumacher is ahead of him, and Jenson Button is catching him. There is Ralf Schumacher ahead of Frentzen. There is Frentzen in the background, and there is Jenson Button. Now, Jenson Button is going to take 5th position from Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Of that, I have not a shadow of a doubt on lap 52 out of 60. What a cracking drive from Jenson. Watch him. This young man is so incredibly mature. I thought it when he's talking to you on the start line, Martin, and he's driven an absolutely superb race. Starting from the 3rd row of the grid in 6th position alongside Michael Schumacher. Here he comes, edging up on Frentzen all the time.
Yes, he'll just eat Frentzen alive in an acceleration zone somewhere. Frentzen clearly got some kind of gear shift problem. And although he's maintaining a fair lick of speed, I think if Jenson gets anywhere near him on the exit of a corner, he'll just swamp him.
And in 7th position behind Jenson Button and 12 seconds behind him, just so that you know what's happening, as you watch very shortly, the young Englishman taking 5th position away from Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who moves over and lets him through. He knows there's no point in resisting. Coulthard leads. Hakkinen is going faster and faster. He's just made his fastest lap of the race. Schumacher is 3rd, Michael. Ralf Schumacher is 4th. Jenson Button is in 5th place, and you're looking at the battle now between Jacques Villeneuve, who's 6th, and Jarno Trulli in the other Jordan. So Frentzen's just retired and lost the chance of a point for himself. Jarno Trulli wants the team at least to have a point, and to do that he's got to get past Jacques Villeneuve that is leading him. And we're on lap 57.
Yes, and Villeneuve locking a front and then snaking the rear out of the Abbey chicane. Mika Hakkinen absolutely flying on a 1:26.2. The gap now just... Oh, look, Trulli goes through. Trulli makes a move into Priory. Villeneuve, I think, with some kind of braking problem. We saw him struggling into the Abbey chicane before. Trulli going into that point-scoring position.
And Michael Schumacher is attacking. He's just gone through the first sector fastest of all. He is, after all, those 20 seconds behind Coulthard. I won't say I can't see the point of it, but he's obviously hoping for something dramatic to happen. There he is. It's a terrific lap that he's doing, but just under 2 seconds between the first two, and they are now on their 60th and last lap. A comeback by McLaren with the prospect of first place for David Coulthard for the 2nd year in succession. A 2nd place for Mika Hakkinen, as he had at Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix. They're coming up behind Giancarlo Fisichella, who is 7th.
Textbook drive here from David Coulthard. Kept his nose clean in the early stages. Knew he was carrying a lot of fuel, of course. The McLaren people, I think, really did get the strategy spot on. Ferrari put a good strategy into Michael Schumacher, but a very, very good one from his 5th position on the grid. But he got shoveled out at the start, and it's cost him dearly. That's allowed these two McLarens really to get out front. Both Jordan and Williams looked absolutely superb, but they were deceiving us because they were running less fuel. Unlike we thought they could all get to the end of the race with the exception of Frentzen, but it turned out the Williams had to stop too. But it still leaves Jenson Button in a solid and excellent 5th position, and his teammate Ralf Schumacher now 16 seconds ahead of him. Jenson fading a little bit towards the end now, but in 4th position. Brother Michael in 3rd. Hakkinen now pegged it over the line.
Goes David Coulthard wins the British Grand Prix by just 1.4 seconds from Mika Hakkinen. A McLaren 1-2, a maximum 16 points in the Constructors' Championship, but there remains the fly in the ointment as far as McLaren is concerned, and it's a mighty big fly. Michael Schumacher, 3rd for Ferrari after a brilliant drive, starting with a very, very heavy fuel load. His brother Ralf Schumacher in the Williams BMW comes home in 4th position, and behind him is Jenson Button, and we thought a 6th place was absolutely fantastic in Brazil, but it's 5th for Jenson Button, a magnificent drive.
And the crowd on their feet as Coulthard comes back to the Parc Fermé. Arm aloft, he's pretty pleased with himself. He'll sleep well tonight. He's got a party going on at his motorhome later on. It's going to be wicked and wild, and he'll be in just the right mood, won't he?
So an outstanding performance from David Coulthard, a home winner at Silverstone once again. A big result for Scotland, for McLaren and the Formula One season.
It obviously meant a great deal winning last year.